just to thank everyone who participated yesterday. I wanted to thank everyone who participated in the prayer breakfast yesterday. And we had 12 guests,
Amen.
you know, and we had about 15 members, you know, who helped with the program. And I'm going to go through each one because everybody did such a great job. Pastor Devetta Morgan came all the way from Charlotte. And she gave a really appreciation prayer for the ministers and their sacrifice and their effort, things that people don't normally think about, and what ministers really have to go through and what they do. So she did a beautiful job. And Mark Nielsen, he gave a really tearful prayer. You know, it was a very moving prayer. And Teresa, with her smiling face, was greeting the ministers as they were coming in. It was very beautiful. Mr. Asada, who was a technical support. We had a big Zoom call, and he managed everything and videos. And the Zoom call, he did a great job doing that. Mary Ellen Rolls, my spiritual mom, drove all the way down from Virginia to lend her support. And Sharon was greeting the guests and bringing guests. And they brought a beautiful couple to the table. They came a little bit late, but that's okay. You know, and then John, of course, John was great at meeting people and socializing with them. And Stephanie playing the piano, Mark also playing drums. And, you know, Bob doing a really great job as an MC, bringing it all together. So let's give everybody a big hand. And then also, you know, Els came too, and Andre came from Greensboro, Elise. You know, all these people came, and Mamru and Caroline. And I found that Caroline.
You got the most important person, Gail, your wife.
Oh, I'm getting to her. Don't you worry. But Mamru and Caroline in Korea, and then I got a text from Caroline that she was trying to invite some people to come to the prayer breakfast. And lo and behold, 2 people came to the prayer breakfast, and you know, they had a really great experience. Actually, one of those ministers wants to join the ACLC. He was so moved by the program. And then last but not least, Gail, my beloved wife. She's always, you know, cooking, preparing gifts for the ministers, and doing all these wonderful things for the ministers. So, yeah, everybody participated in an amazing way. And Ryoko, yes, Ryoko, who supported Gail in the kitchen. Now, Ryoko is someone you don't see so much. She was in the kitchen working hard to make sure all the food was prepared for all of us. So we can't try to forget everyone. And sometimes I forget things, but in our hearts we really want to appreciate everyone, and God wants to appreciate you for what you did. And I really believe that God notices everything you do. You know, and we're working for God. We want to make sure that our desire, our vision, matches God's vision. And we kind of, I think, if we really look deep inside ourselves, you know, we all want the same thing. We all want loving relationships, beautiful relationships with each other. We want to reveal the truth inside the hearts of all our people. Dr. Young, he talks about a longing heart. But you know what I long for? I long to find my true self, my original self. Each one of us, you know, it's like, you know, Clark Kent, he pulls off his coat, you know. There's a big S there, right there. But there's a big S right there for us, but there's an O in front of it. It's our original self. And we're so powerful, you know, when we find that our true self. And people feel it, they see it, you know, and they can feel something deep and meaningful. And they want to be with us. You know, when I go selling sometimes, people, I just talk to people, you know, I'm selling these wood roses or whatever I'm doing. But sometimes people will just look at me, and I'm saying, where do they get that from? They ask me if I'm a minister, you know, and I never talked anything about religion. But people can sense something from your spirit, you know. And interestingly enough, when John and I sometimes, we sell these wood roses, but sometimes we cross territories. And sometimes people think I'm John. And John, the same thing, that's Tim. So anyway, it's kind of amusing. But, I want to relate to you, you know, I've been working with Pastor Harris. I've known him for a long time. And a long time ago when the Japanese sisters were here, you may remember they were running around and they were going to visiting churches, and at that time we got a lot of churches, you know. We went in and we actually blessed entire churches with a blessing. You know, that was kind of a really, really special time. But during that time I developed a close relationship with Pastor Nellie Harris. She's now Pastor Harrow, you know, she just recently got married. But she was always such a humble pastor, you know, and so open. And she would come to some of our little meetings, you know, at the church center. And then after a while, we moved on to something else. You know how that happens. We dropped something and we're going on in another direction. But then all of a sudden, I came back to her church at one point, you know, and I tried to rekindle that relationship that we had in the beginning. And so I started taking her to breakfast, you know, we go to breakfast every Tuesday, and she began to share her real struggles at being a pastor. Like for instance, you know, a couple was getting divorced after 25 years of marriage and they had all these beautiful children, and she was so upset about that. And she asked me and Gail, like, can you help me? What can we do, you know? And I said, what could I say to her? You know, all I could think of is, well, we'll just really pray for that couple, and if you want us to meet with that couple, we can try to do something, you know, to try to encourage them to stay together. But that never materialized, because actually, after that happened, we started praying for that couple, and when I met her next time, that couple decided not to get divorced. They decided to try to work it out and stay together. So, even though it didn't do much, but, you know, I really feel we do make a difference in people's lives. And so, I'm inspired by a sister in the Ocean community, Yukio Takeda. You know, I got a chance to stay at her house when I attended the Havelock event. And she invited me to her house, so I slept there because I was so tired. But I noticed about her that she's always serving, bringing gifts all the time to her ministers. You know, and I thought about that, you know. Even it's such a small thing, a gift, but it can make a really big difference. A small thing can seem small to you, but it can mean a lot to a person at the right moment. And I want to give you an example of that. When I was doing home church in Brooklyn, when I first started doing home church, we would go 360 homes, and we'd visit from door to door. You know, and most of the time there was this, you know, most people at that time, they didn't really want to let you in, you know, that you were a stranger, they'd never seen you before, and they were suspicious of me, you know, who was this guy who kept coming around, you know. So, in particular, there was this one community, it was like a 6-story building, and it had full of Haitians and Spanish and people. And I knew they were there when I knocked on their door, but they would never open the door. You never open the door, and so finally one day, one person opened up the door. Her name was Paulette, and we talked, you know, and I told her I was here in the community, trying to serve the community, and she said, "Oh, that's great," you know. And then I left, and then later on, she was in the hospital, and I decided, what could I do? So I went and I brought her flowers in the hospital, and when I brought the flowers to her, there was other members of the community around the hospital bed. And when they saw me, their jaws dropped. You know? I had flowers and I had a card. And so it was a simple gesture, you know. And I gave her the flowers, the card. And then I went back. The next day, I went into that same apartment building, and it was unbelievable. The doors flew open like never before. Inside, dinner, lunch, and that time on, I never had to worry about dinner because I always ate in my community. There was somebody inviting me for dinner. So just one simple thing of connection of heart can open up a lot of doors. And that's what I feel about what we're trying to do with the ministers. You know, John is a great teacher, Ron. If we can open up the heart of the people that we're trying to love and serve where they can trust us, then we can teach from the heart rather than try to just teach concepts or abstract thinking about God's creation. We can make it real to them. So, I'm not going to talk like a really long time about that, but I'll give you one more testimony, and then if anybody wants to share about their experience at the prayer breakfast, what they learned, with any insights that they have, we'd love to hear from you. But this was one person that I served a long time, and her name was Teresa. She was Haitian. She had a big family, and she always used to have these beautiful doves in her house, these beautiful little birds. And I would serve her and serve her and serve her and come to her, you know. And then one day she said a word about that she would have to move. And all that, and I thought, well, all that investment, you know, and then she's going out of my home church area, and I just feel like I'm making progress and she's leaving. So I said, well, I'm going to help her. What the heck? So I borrowed the church van, and we had a midnight move. She had to be out by a certain time, so I moved her in this van until like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. You know, and she was so amazed. She looked at us and she said, "This is incredible. The Reverend Moon sent you here, didn't he? He's like a father to us, isn't he? Oh no, he's like a grandfather, you know." And she got so worked up and so, you know, excited about this idea. There was a guy walking down the street, 2 o'clock in the morning, just happened to walk by. She runs out of the house and starts yelling, "Hey, you! Do you know who Reverend Moon is?" The guy's like, "What?" He said, "Reverend Moon, you see what he sent this person here to me, and he helped me move all night long. That's incredible, don't you think?" The guy said, "Yeah, I guess so." So she had that right kind of a testimony. So we have such an amazing impact on people's lives, you know, by our service and our love and our heart that we sometimes don't even realize. And so as we try to move forward now and try to educate ministers about God's heart, you know, we have to remember the heart of service and of love. And then when we teach, I really believe, and Dr. Young says, you know, if your vision is in line with God's vision, then you have to not just have belief, but you have to have absolute conviction that it's going to come about. And if we have that kind of conviction, which is different from belief, then we can succeed in what we're trying to do, because God has got our back. So anyway, that's what I wanted to share with you this morning, and how much God loves and appreciates every precious one in this room. And so with that, I'd like to ask if anybody had a special experience or would like to share something about the prayer breakfast we had yesterday. Anyone?